Young Australians are taking less risk with drugs and alcohol than previous generations. This is according to a News Corp report.
Teen pregnancies have plunged by almost a third, illegal drug use nearly halved, and alcohol abstinence has more than doubled. So journalist Jan Fran and Nine Honey's Shelley Horton join us now. So Jan, I'd love to get your thoughts on this, because they're being dubbed the deliberate generation.
Well, I think everyone's just too busy on their phones to be having sex, Ellie. I think that's kind of what's going on. Everyone's just too busy on Instagram, too busy on Facebook, too busy on the social medias. I say that flippantly, but I think that that is actually what is going on. Because the biggest difference in generations that we're seeing now is technology. And I think teenagers and young people, not just teenagers, but they're finding that sort of gratification via their technology rather than, via actual human face-to-face, body-to-body interaction.
And some of this, though, Shelley, I reckon some kids have been raised by parents who got on the other substances.
Indeed.
Had a bit of a rough life. And they look at mum and dad, probably divorced now, and not really coping with life, going, hey, you know what, let's not do that.
Let's not follow that example.
Let's not follow that example.
I mean, it's quite common for children of parents who smoke to never smoke because they just have been exposed to it way too early. Look, I am always banging on and giving the young generations a bit of a hard time.
You are, you hate them.
But I actually think I have to take the millennial side on this one and give them a little bit of praise. What the? But honestly, I think that they are more engaged. Yes, there's an issue with mobile phones and the fact that they are, there is quite a serious epidemic of loneliness because they don't have the human interaction. But I think that they're pretty informed.
But as long as they're safe, why do they need
Well, they're pretty informed.
Well, see, the thing is that they're not entirely safe when it comes to mental health issues.
Right.
And this is why we're seeing that kind of really big rise in things like anxiety and things like depression, because you're constantly facing, a screen, you're not getting that human interaction, you're not going outdoors as much as what you were. There's a lot of pressure concentrated in one time and in one area.
But do you think all of that comes back to social media?
I think a lot of that comes back to social media. Obviously, it's not exclusive, but I think a lot of that would. And, this is still a very fledgling kind of area. We just don't know the long-term impacts because we've only really had phones in our hands for the better half of the last decade.
There's another topic I would like to talk to you both this morning, and I don't think it's going to fire you up at all. A list of 30 rules to keep your husband is stirring up some controversy with wives across the world.
Guys, relax. Look, this is posted to a wedding planning Facebook group, so it's legit. Here are some of the highlights. Never raise your voice. Do your duties. Never pretend to be sick.
That's so you
Please,
get out of...
Never.
Yeah.
And can I say, never shout at your husband. No man wants a nagging wife. A lazy wife is a careless wife. Make a glass of water for the very first welcome to your husband.
when he gets home from work.
Have a glass of water.
Because I know it
Glass
should
of
be a
water.
martini
Okay.
for Christ's
Yeah.
It's not
sake.
going to keep your
Come
husband
on.
with a glass of water.
Yeah.
Jan,
Any of those rules?
any of those rules cool by you?
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Dun, dun,
Dum,
dun.
dum, dum, drum roll, please, and say that they are all cool by me.
No!
Hold
no,
up. There's an addendum. I mean, I find them quite reasonable. Like, don't embarrass your husband in public. Don't be naggy. Welcome your husband. They're things that I generally do in my life anyway. The only problem that
So
I
you have a husband who doesn't need to be nagged.
Yeah. Does anyone need to be nagged?
She's
Do you
the
need to be
one.
nagged? I mean, do you need to be nagged, Dave? Do I need to be nagged?
Nagged, I'm
Nobody
nagged
needs to be
daily
nagged.
here.
That's the work wife. Yeah.
The only problem I
Two
have...
work wives and a real wife at home.
The main problem I have with this list is that it's not reciprocal. I think it's just a list for people rather than women on how to keep your husband. It's just how to be a decent person in a relationship.
Oh, I have
It's
so many
badly framed.
issues with this
Go.
list.
I think we're out
Surprise,
of time, Shelley.
surprise.
I'm sorry. I don't really...
Sorry, you're just going to cut me
No,
off.
go on, tell us.
So much of it is like, you must have sex with your husband and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way.
That's true.
Let me tell you. It says, don't ever pretend to be sick to get out of having sex. Oh my goodness, I just feel like this has come from 1952, and I feel like this is, again, a backlash against equality and feminism, and I think that this needs to be nipped in the bud. It is not about being a good person.
Please don't nip your husband in the
One
bud.
one of them says, don't challenge your husband.
Oh, that's
Oh,
not my
look,
household.
all right. There's a few exceptions there to the rules.
Backtracking
okay?
now.
I'm backpedaling somewhat. Yeah. Yes, I challenge my husband quite a bit, and I have pretended to be sick on a number of occasions during sexual relations. I'll admit that happily on national television. It's fine.
I love it.
Some
I love
husbands
it.
out there that probably admit that too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
If you want to add another 30 to these rules, go right ahead on our Facebook page. We would welcome it, obviously, and not get into any trouble at all. Great to have you both on. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, there are major delays and cancellations at airports across the country.